All right, Ramon, what's going on?
What's up, Anthony? It's Bold Like a Leopard here. Um, gonna take a couple minutes to react. Yesterday, you had that video about Poland, and I wrote a piece partly inspired by um, your reaction. Now, before people flag your channel, I am Jewish, so you can't flag Anthony.
That's right.
So I think that Poland is a fake problem. And it's not because I agree with the decision, but I don't think anybody wants to go there, and we shouldn't care what they're doing unless they're actually, shooting people for, expressing speech or something.
Right.
And I think there were a couple of inaccuracies I saw in what you said. Like, for example, you said that it was the Stasi during World War II, but it was the Gestapo actually. But the Stasi were in East Germany. But other than that, I think that there were people in Poland that participated in the Holocaust. But like you said, there were people who also risked their lives to save Jews, also to save other Polish people, because both Germany and the Soviet Union slaughtered a lot of Poles.
Right.
And I think people are expecting, by talking about the most shameful elements of the past, that they're going to actually be able to reverse history, and that that's obviously impossible. You can't regain what's been lost over, what is it, 70 years ago.
Right.
My family was from Ukraine. The village that they lived in was wiped out, and I don't think that my grandparents ever wanted to go back, and they'd probably be fine never seeing Ukraine again. So I think that it's kind of a waste of energy. There's a lot of issues, and I know you talk a lot about the black community. I don't know if any of these problems are common to you guys, but there's a spiritual crisis in the Jewish community. You have a lot of people that their only connection, they believe that they're part of ethnicity, but in reality, it's a religion that they belong to that they actually don't know anything about in many cases, like Sarah Silverman, who is about as ignorant of a person as you can get.
Right.
So I did send you an article about it, if you care to share it, which is my viewpoint about it, and the aiding and abetting defamation league, which in the summer they were all about censoring one loser somewhere in the middle of nowhere for attacking CNN because he was some sort of white supremacist or whatever. I mean, who cares? First of all, this person is obviously some dude behind a computer, possibly even a kid, and they were all for coercing his freedom of speech. And now they're suddenly, when it's in Poland, they suddenly learn the value of freedom of speech. Well, I think that in order to really make a point on this topic, you have to have some consistency, and they have zero. It's just a disgrace of an organization. It's kind of like it's the same idea with the SPLC and GLAD and the NAACP and all those organizations. They profit off of fake problems, and they'll manufacture ones where there are none. And this thing in Poland, I think, will eventually blow over, and people will go back to not caring about what's going on in Poland. Well, besides that, so I do want to talk a little about the FBI scandal.
Okay.
So, are you are you interested in whatever crazy explanation they're going to have for why these clowns in the FBI were getting information from some dude who was getting information, this Christopher Steele guy, who apparently was getting information from a guy who was a private detective for the Clintons, who was helping them intimidate women that Bill was harassing in the 90s. I mean, I'd really love to hear what the explanation is for it. And it shows that even if they were to protest their innocence, it would show how incompetent they are.
Yes.
It's just unbelievable. Did you see this? I bet you were probably, if you saw this, you were probably laughing, hysterically. The fake phone call to Adam Schiff, the Democratic congressman from the Russian pranksters.
Yeah, I heard about that. They're talking about they had Trump nudes. Is that right?
Yeah, they called him up and they said, we'll meet you some. I think they said they'll meet him in Brighton Beach. So, using the most stereotypical Russian American stuff and whatever. So, this is like a disgrace, and I've said, I've been making content on it on my channel that the real collusion is Clinton and China, and by letting it go in the 90s, and this is on the Republican Party too. It's not just on the Democrats. By letting that go, we let them completely corrupt the integrity of the intelligence services. It was, for example, Senator Arlen Specter, who was a Republican of Pennsylvania, uncovered all those ties back then in the 90s, but they didn't do anything. And the FBI, excuse me, the FBI didn't do anything under Bush. It was pretty much a disgrace, and we're living with the results of that. 20 minutes later, and I don't know if we'll ever be able to fix these intelligence agencies ever again. I love all these comments. I think I'm seeing one from Ansel, who keeps ragging on my bookshelf. I think last time he said that my bookshelf needs a woman's touch. I want to warn him that if Justin Trudeau was here, he would censor him for assuming my gender. So, I'll leave on that note. I don't want to, lose my concentration and yak like I'm Adam Schiff or something. So, have a good night, and keep putting good stuff out.
Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Good night.